Welcome to SATV News. This is Riaz Mahmood with our headlines. Bangladesh will turn into a failed state if polls are postponed, says Mirza Fakhrul. Awami League trying to foil elections, spread arson attacks, says Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam. Law enforcing agencies take a strong stance to face Awami League program on November 13, says Home Advisor. Now in details. BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has warned that Bangladesh risks becoming a failed state if the upcoming national elections are deferred. He made the remarks while addressing a rally in Thakurgaon today. Mr. Fakhrul cautioned that the government would have to bear full responsibility if it attempts to impose anything beyond the agreed framework of political and electoral reforms. He also alleged that a certain group has been going door to door misleading women by spreading distorted interpretations of religion. Reiterating his warning, the BNP leader said if the elections are postponed this time, Bangladesh will become a failed state. Outlining his party's vision, Mr. Fakhrul pledged that if the BNP returns to power, it would create employment opportunities for 1 crore jobless people within 15 months and ensure a completely independent judiciary. BNP Standing Committee member Dr. Khandakar Musharraf Hussain has said that if the government announces any decision outside the issues specified in the July National Charter, no political party that signed the charter will be obliged to accept it. He made the remarks today at a press conference held at the BNP chairperson's office in Gulshan, Dhaka. Dr. Khandakar Musharraf said, based on nearly a year of discussions by the National Consensus Commission with political parties, the July National Charter, drafted on a consensus basis with the certain notes of dissent, was signed on October 17, and everyone committed to implementing it in accordance with the Constitution and the law. Recently, some of the interim government's advisors have made statements about government decisions on matters outside the July National Charter. Such statements are misleading and tantamount to disregarding decisions adopted by consensus. The BNP Standing Committee member said, in this situation, all responsibility will rest with the government. He urged the government to proceed with caution. Also present at the press conference were BNP Standing Committee members Dr. Abdul Moin Khan, Mirza Abbas, Nazrul Islam Khan, Salahuddin Ahmed and Hafizuddin Ahmed. Law enforcing agencies have taken a strong stance to address the upcoming program of Awami League, the party whose political activities are banned on November 13, said Home Advisor Jahangir Alam Chaudhary. He made the remarks while briefing reporters after a meeting on law and order at the Secretariat today. The law enforcing agencies have taken a strong position regarding the incident on the 13th. They will have a strong stance. The situation will remain normal. There is no threat of any kind. The criminals won't be spared at all, he said. He solicited cooperation from everyone in this regard and said, whenever you see any suspicious person, please inform the law enforcing agencies. Noting that security has been strengthened at the tribunal, metro rail areas, railways and key points of interest, the advisor said in response to a question about measures for the Awami League program, patrolling has been increased, security reinforced in KPIs, fuel collection points that could be used to torch buses have been closed. Duties of law enforcers have been increased. National Citizens Party wants to form an alliance with those who independently support reforms and oppose Indian hegemony, said party's chief coordinator for the southern region, Hasnat Abdullah. Speaking at the inauguration of the Narayanganj district office of the NCP at the Shamobai building in the city, Hasnath said NCP is ready to join hands with those who independently stand for reforms. Hasnath, however, made it clear that the NCP would not align with any group or party that has opposed reforms or obstructed the country's reform process. The NCP has always made sacrifices in the greater interest of the nation, he said. Calling the Awami League irrelevant in today's Bangladesh, Hasnath remarked, the Awami League has become irrelevant now. We need to look ahead. But we have seen that some paid intellectuals and beneficiaries of the Awami League have tried to generate legitimacy for the party through talk shows. He said recent events have made it clear who were behind the acts of arson both in the past and in the present. Awami League is trying to disrupt the upcoming national election and is carrying out arson attacks across the country, alleged Chief Advisor's Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam today. The fascist Awami League is indulged in arson attacks across the country, aiming to thwart the election, but the national parliamentary election will be held in the first half of February and no domestic or foreign force will be able to foil it, he said. Shafiqul Alam came up with the remarks while talking to reporters after laying the foundation stone of a newly constructed building of Kuliara High School in Choudhugram Upazila in Kumilla district. Mentioning that there might be differences over the opinions of political parties, the press secretary said everyone is preparing for the election. Despite differences, all parties want a festive and participatory election, he said. So far, he said BNP has announced candidates for 237 constituencies, while Jamaat-e-Islami is also picking its candidates. Chief Advisor's Deputy Press Secretary Abul Kalam Azad Majumdar was also present. Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami Amir Shafiqur Rahman today said there will be no election in the country unless the legal basis of the July National Charter is ensured. He said this at a mass rally at Dhaka Polton's intersection amid chanting slogans by thousands of leaders and activists of 8 like-minded peers. The Jamaat chief also said the charter embodies the demands of the people and any delay in implementing it could lead to a grave situation. Jamaat and 7 like-minded parties began their rally around 2:05 p.m. pressing for their 5-point demand, which includes giving a legal basis to the July National Charter and holding the next national election under a proportional representation system. The program began with a recitation from the Quran, after which Jamaat Assistant Secretary General Hamidur Rahman Azad declared the start of the rally. Viewers are taking a short break. Stay with us.
লাখো গ্রাহকদের প্রয়োজনের দিক লক্ষ্য রেখে নিশ্চিত বিশ্বস্ততা ও আন্তর্জাতিক মানের সেবা এখন ডোর টু ডোর। SA পরিবহন কুরিয়ার অ্যান্ড পার্সেল সার্ভিস SDN BHT 120 জালান্তুন HS Lee 50050 কুয়ালালামপুর মালয়েশিয়া। SA পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস আপনার সেবায় সব সময়।
Explore the magnificent view of Rangpur. 5-star facilities, Reed Chain Hotel, Grand Palace. Relax in spacious rooms and suites. Enjoy local and international cuisines. And conference room, helipad, gymnasium, beauty salon, restaurants and bar, cafe lounge.
Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. The Election Commission has published a gazette outlining a stringent code of conduct for political parties and candidates ahead of the 30th national elections, introducing new restrictions on campaign materials, social media activity and the use of technology. According to the political parties and candidates Code of Conduct 2025, parties and candidates will no longer be allowed to use posters in election campaigns, while billboards will be limited to 20 per constituency, each not exceeding 16 feet in length and 9 feet in width. The use of drones, polythene materials and artificial lighting except on digital billboards has also been banned. The code, signed by EC Senior Secretary Akhtar Ahmed and published Monday night, makes it mandatory for all political parties and candidates to submit written undertakings pledging to comply with the new rules. They must also announce their manifestos on a single platform coordinated by the returning officer. Violations of the code may result in up to 6 months imprisonment, fines of up to Taka 1.5 lakh for candidates or parties, and potential cancellation of candidacy under the Representation of the People order. Now, news from abroad. The U.S. Senate on Monday approved a compromise that would end the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, breaking a weeks-long stalemate that has disrupted food benefits for millions, left hundreds of thousands of federal workers unpaid, and snarled air traffic. The 60-40 vote passed with the support of nearly all of the chamber's Republicans and 8 Democrats, who unsuccessfully sought to tie government funding to health subsidies that are due to expire at the end of the year. While the agreement sets up a December vote on those subsidies, which benefit 24 million Americans, it does not guarantee they will continue. The deal would restore funding for federal agencies that lawmakers allowed to expire on October 1 and would stall President Donald Trump's campaign to downsize the federal workforce, preventing any layoffs until January 30. It next heads to the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, where Speaker Mike Johnson has said he would like to pass it as soon as Wednesday and send it to Trump to sign into law. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday the deal to end the government shutdown was very good, adding that he would abide by the agreement while noting some terms might still change. It depends what deal we are talking about, Trump told reporters in the Oval Office. Trump also addressed health care, saying his administration aimed to shift funding directly to citizens rather than insurance companies, adding, "We are going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time." He further said that they were getting close to reaching a deal with India that would expand economic and security ties between the two countries, boost U.S. energy exports and promote investments in key U.S. sectors.
Shutdown. Did you sign off on that, and will you abide by that if this passes?
We're talking about trillions and trillions.
At least 13 people have been killed and 20 injured in a car blast that took place on Monday night close to the Red Fort in India's capital, New Delhi. No cause for the explosion has been given, but police in the Indian Capital Territory have invoked an anti-terror law. Home Minister Amit Shah said the explosion occurred just before 7 p.m. and is believed to have originated from a Hyundai i20 car that had stopped at a traffic signal. The blast left mangled bodies and wrecked cars scattered near the site as police and investigators cordoned off the area and pushed back crowds. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said those responsible for the deadly blast will be brought to justice. At least 12 people were killed and 27 others injured on Thursday in a suicide attack outside a court complex in the capital, Islamabad, confirmed Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi. The blast occurred in the parking area of the judicial complex. The suicide bomber targeted a police vehicle as he could not enter the complex, Naqvi told journalists at the blast site. Efforts are underway to identify the attacker, he added. President Asif Zardari condemned the attack, saying foreign-sponsored terrorists operating in Pakistan must be eliminated. The bodies of the 12 victims were taken to a local hospital and others were transferred for emergency treatment. Police and emergency teams cordoned off the area and launched an investigation. Any decision on Israel's policies on Gaza are being made in collaboration with the Trump administration, a spokesperson in Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said on Monday. US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Netanyahu discussed disarming Hamas, demilitarizing Gaza and ensuring Hamas has no role in Gaza ever again, spokeswoman Shosh Bedrosian said in a daily briefing to foreign journalists. When asked about some 200 Hamas gunmen holed up in tunnels in the southern Gaza Strip under Israeli military control, Bedrosian said that she had no information to share and later added that any decision that is made and it's made in partnership, in full collaboration with President Trump and his team, she added. A Russian drone attack on Ukraine's southern Odessa region damaged energy and transport infrastructure, injuring one person and sparking fires at multiple energy facilities, said the regional governor on Tuesday. The attack injured one person, sparked fires at various energy facilities and damaged a depot of the state-owned Ukrainian railways, according to local authorities. Critical infrastructure in the region in operating on generators and emergency centers have been opened, Governor Oleg Kipa said. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Monday told attendees at a United Socialist Party of Venezuela event that Venezuela remains determined to maintain its sovereignty despite heightened tensions with Washington. Maduro made the comment during a speech broadcast over state media. No one will take away our freedom, no one will take away our peace and the independence of the country, he added. The U.S. has carried out more than a dozen strikes since September on vessels near the Venezuelan coast and more recently in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, killing more than 70 people, according to the U.S. Defense Secretary, as it escalates a military buildup in the Caribbean Sea. Maduro has accused Donald Trump of seeking to topple his government, an allegation the U.S. president has downplayed despite reports of the administration's close contact with Venezuela's opposition. BBC Chairman Samir Shah on Monday apologized for an error of judgment in the editing of a speech by U.S. President Donald Trump that raised the ire of the U.S. President, but he rejected claims of the systematic bias in the broadcaster's news reporting. Mounting criticism of the BBC's news led to the resignation of its Director General Tim Davie and the Chief Executive of News Deborah Turnus on Sunday, following the leaking of an internal report that raised concerns about its coverage. Shah said that edit of a Trump speech in a program broadcast shortly before the November 2024 U.S. presidential election was misleading and should have been handled more carefully. Shortly after he issued the apology, BBC News reported that Trump had threatened the corporation with legal action over the edit. Shah said the broadcaster was considering how to respond. Trump's lawyers said that BBC must retract the Panorama documentary by November 14 or face a lawsuit for no less than $1 billion, according to a letter sent on Sunday.
For the way the team edited President Trump's speech to his supporters on January the 6th.
Iraq has begun casting ballots on Tuesday in parliamentary elections to choose a new 329-member legislature, with nationwide polling set to close at 6 p.m. local time. Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani seeks a second term in an exercise that a growing young electorate increasingly views as a vehicle for established parties to divide up the Middle East nation's oil wealth. Elections in Iraq are increasingly marked by low turnout. However, the vote this year features a raft of young candidates hoping to break into politics, but their chances against old patronage networks are uncertain. Taiwan on Tuesday called a Chinese diplomat's remarks toward Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi disrespectful and impolite. Taiwan Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hisawa Kwang Wei said China's Consul General in Osaka, Xu Xian's wolf warrior diplomacy behaviors fell below the standards and demonstrated the country's reckless and domineering mindset. When asked about Taiwan's response to the matter during a weekly news conference, Hisao added that China should respect other nations to maintain good relationships, including Taiwan, in the international community. Meanwhile, Typhoon Fung Wong brought heavy rains to Hualien and Taiwan's east coast on Tuesday, flooding an area that already saw 18 people killed by an earlier typhoon in September. Taiwan evacuated more than 3,000 people on Tuesday, issuing a land warning for the arrival of Fung Wong, which is expected to cause large volumes of rain on its mountainous east coast, recently lashed by another typhoon. The weakening Fung Wong is forecast to hit land on Wednesday on the island's southwestern coast around the major port of Kaohsiung, after it killed a number of people while powering through the Philippines as a much stronger system. The Transport Ministry said 66 mostly domestic flights were cancelled on Tuesday. Fung Wong earlier moved away from the northwestern Philippines after carving out a trail of devastation, leaving at least 10 people dead and 1.4 million displaced. Before ending, we go through the headlines again. Bangladesh will turn into a failed state if polls are postponed, says Mirza Fakhrul. Awami League trying to foil election spread arson attacks, says Press Secretary Shafiqul Alam. Law enforcing agencies take a strong stance to face Awami League program on November 13, says Home Advisor. You are updated with our top stories so far here on SATV, and to know the latest news, visit www.satv.tv. Stay with SATV.